I'm just looking at a file here so that I can share with us what I will be discussing and what you guys can ask. So once this is sorted out, we start immediately. So today I'll assign one person to be asking the questions that will be asked on to ask questions that will be asked on the chat so that you should not miss. So I want to assign, let me assign, the other time Joey assisted us. Is Joey in the house today? The other time Joey assisted us in answering some of the questions that were being asked on the chat, because there's a very high probability I might not check the charts on this end. So let me assign who? Let me assign, if you'd be assigned, accept the assignment. Caroline, will you help us to be reading the questions that will be asked on the chat? Carol? Caroline will help us to ask the questions that will be asked in the chat. So welcome today again to this session. For those who don't know me, I am CPA Ringo. I always assist you guys, of course, to prepare for exams. I always guide you guys on tips on how you can always work out these exams and general accounting skills. These are what I normally tend to share with us a lot. Through this journey, it has been interesting, and I know you guys have also been gaining a lot. So why are we having this session today? Or why are we having this session right now? It is because of the exams that you guys are going to do in like 2 weeks from now. Yeah. And these are points whereby a lot of pressure. There's always this is a time for pressure. Yeah. Those who want to start to study right now, maybe through the semester studying, is when you want to start doing your studies, is when you want to start prepare for the exams that is in 2 weeks. So literally, here we are. What is the best strategy? What are the best strategies? What are the best ways that you can always tend to go about the same? So as I've said, let it be an open forum. Yeah, let it be purely an open forum. Be open, ask all the questions that you want to ask. Those that I'll be able to answer, definitely I'll share. Those that I might not be able to answer in this forum, of course, I'll also give the reasons why. So, majority of you that have joined the session for this open forum, I know you're preparing for your exams in the next 2 weeks. And here we are. You don't know where to start, or maybe you've been studying using your previous strategies. So at this point, let us start by looking at setup of our Kasneb papers. As we are very specific, open forum for Kasneb students. So let us look at the setup for Kasneb papers. You'll find that the setup for Kasneb papers, we normally have 3 structures only. Yeah, 3 structures. The first form of papers that are always there in Kasneb, we have the theory papers. We have, of course, the aspect of quantitative papers, and we have the statement papers. These are the 3 different structures of papers that you normally tend to have for Kasneb exams, all through theory, quantitative, as well as aspect of the statement papers. So many a times across all these papers, there's a mistake that a lot of students normally tend to make, either intentionally or maybe because they don't have an idea that they are making a mistake, or at times, but rarely it is always deliberate, right? Rarely it is always deliberate. So I'll mention that these are mistakes that a lot of students normally tend to make unconsciously without knowing, unconsciously without knowing. So let's start with the mistakes that a lot of students, of course, they normally tend to make. The mistake that majority they normally tend to make unconsciously. The mistake that majority, they normally tend to make unconsciously. So what is this mistake that a lot of students, they normally tend to make unconsciously? Number one, you'll find that we have the aspect of assumption, or number one, using revision kits. Let me not talk about assumption. Let's talk about using revision kits. Yeah, using revision kits. The mistake that majority normally tend to make. Using revision kits. So when you read about using revision kits, in this case, we find that what is this mistake? You're doing your revisions, you'll be doing your revisions all through, right? You'll be doing your revisions all through. So when doing your revisions, you have your revision kits with you, which is very good. It is not bad to have the revision kits with you. It's very good to have these revision kits. But what are you going to do with these revision kits? As I've always mentioned, in that revision kits should always be point of comparison and not reference. I'll explain this further. Why are we saying that should be a point of comparison and not reference? Why are we saying that it is a point of comparison and aspect of not point of reference? You get a question, and I know majority of the students are always victim of this. You get a question. After getting this question, what will happen? In this case, you try to solve a particular question. Yeah? You get a challenge while solving this question. In your mind, you will be like, I have the questions, or rather I have the solution to this question on my revision kit. Either the back of your book or maybe just beside what you have. That is what your mind will tell you. That I do have a solution for this question. So why should I struggle and yet I have solution? So your mind will take you straight away to the solution while doing this paper. So in this case, you find that getting a challenge, you rush to the solution directly. You're not revising actually. You're not doing something constructive. In that end, what you're literally doing, you are literally kind of, with a lack of a better word, you're literally cramming. You're cramming. Why? Because the same question can be tested next time, but only the examiner will twist only probably one line or something very little will be changed. And in that case, you'll be totally off. Why? Because you are that student who will be like, whenever I'm having a challenge, I rush to the solution. In that case, that is not constructive. What you're doing in that context, you're literally cramming. So then, what is the best way to do my revision using revision kits? What is the best way doing my revision using revision kits? At this point, more so that we have like only 2 weeks remaining to exams, we should be very strategically, right? So whenever you get a question, you try to do your revisions, maybe the way you plan yourself, you try to do your revisions. The best way would be whenever you get a challenge, don't rush to the solution. I know one will ask, Mwalimu, where am I going to rush to then? The best way that you can maximize on the question that you're doing is to go through what? To go through the notes. That is, if at all you're having what? Good notes. If you have very good notes, assuming maybe I'm handling a question, say for like capital budgeting, that is in financial management. I'm handling a question, say like in capital budgeting, this financial management. I'm doing say like NPV. So you get a challenge in working out NPV. You see, if you rush to your solution, you just get the answer. But if at all you go to the book, what are you going to earn? Number one, you're going to go through all the concepts of NPV. That is to say, you'll be like, okay, for me to handle this NPV part, maybe I should be having the cash flows. How do I determine the cash flows? Literally, you get each and every step. For me to handle NPV, I should be able to understand that I need to get my initial outlay somewhere. Literally, on your notes, you get each and every step. Other than you handling NPV, you're going to learn some other concepts, like probably IRR, like probably maybe PI. See, all this, you're getting it in your notes. So you not only be doing that question, or rather you not be solving that question, what you'll be doing in this case, you literally be doing now thorough revision. You'll be doing thorough revision, not just solutions, but in this case, you are expanding your scope in other areas. So at this point, the revision kit there, let it be just point of comparison. Once you've worked out what you're doing, and in this case, you've been able to get a solution on what you're doing through your notes, not revision kit or solutions provided, now rush to your solutions. So compare what you've done based on what you've obtained from your notes and what you're having what you're having on the revision kit. So in that case, you'll find that the revision kit would be there as a point of comparison and not point of reference. In that case, you're going to save yourself a lot. So that maybe the same question with a little twist, because you are that person who was doing a revision for the purpose of getting the whole concept. Even regardless of how the question is going to be twisted, it will be very easy for you to work it out. So use this technique and you're going to tell Mwalimu how it will be useful. That is one way. Then at this point, I know one person will also be like, Mwalimu, now that you're remaining with 2 weeks, to be frank, you cannot go through everything in your syllabus. You cannot go through like each and every concept all at once. So what is the best strategy that you can use in these remaining 2 weeks or 2.5 weeks, if at all you can say? What you need to do, kindly, you can use this strategy. I know it will help us a lot. Go to your take your syllabus. These syllabus are all over. Everyone should be having the syllabus. Take your syllabus right now. Go and look for each and every topic that you're having in a unit that you're doing. In this case, go to your past papers. Identify like only what? 2 questions for each topic. Within this period of time that we are looking at 2 weeks, 2.5, do only 2 questions. Identify 2 questions for each topic. So how are you going to handle these 2 topics for each topic? You take a question, try to solve it. Whenever you're getting a challenge, use the strategy that Mwalimu has shared with us. You go to your notes to look for solution. Without realizing, after maybe that question, or rather after these 2 questions have been done, you'll find yourself having solved almost 3/4 of that topic. You'll find yourself almost solving 3/4 of that topic. Go to the next bit, identify 2 questions. Use the same strategy up to the time that you're going to handle all the questions that you're doing. At that point, I'm 100% sure if you use this strategy and is very practicable within these 2 weeks remaining, you're going to see a lot of changes. So that is the approach that Mwalimu will want to share with us in terms of how to use the revision kits and also within this period remaining. Haya, the other case tuko na hilo kingine, yeah, opening stocks. Tuko na hii opening ya hii lot ya opening stocks. Yeah, whenever I'm talking opening stocks, basically I'm looking at the students who are doing the papers maybe for the first, for the second time, for the third time. Some are also doing it for the 5th time, almost giving up. Yeah, Don't give up. As I've always said, CPA is like a cult. Regardless of the break that you're going to take, you take 10 years break, you take 5 years break, still come to finish CPA. So the opening stocks. My good students for opening stocks, they normally tend to have this mentality, which by the way is very bad. And it can mess you a lot. The mentality, have you asked yourself, why is it that there's always a very high probability of you not passing the paper when you're doing it for the second time? Yeah, there's always a very high probability that if at all you're doing the paper for the second time, you might not pass again. It is not like Kasneb knew you did this paper before. No. No. The reason why a student who is doing a paper for the second time, he or she might end up not passing that paper is this reason. Once I've done a paper for the first time, maybe it has not gone well, I've not performed well, then in this case, I've gotten that F. So as human beings, of course, I know you'd be very bored. You'd be like, Kwani, what did I do wrong? See, you start to look at so many things. So in this case, while doing this paper for the second time, you know what you're going to have? You're going to be like, okay, this paper, let me accept this. So you'd be like, this paper, I am doing it for the second time. So the approach will always be like, this paper is fine. This paper, I'm doing it for the second time. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to relax. Then I'm just going to do my revisions. Well, that is a very big mistake that a lot of students who are opening stocks, they normally tend to do. They normally tend to make that mistake that this paper, I did it before. So like, cynical revise too, then I'm going to do my paper because I have everything. Why should I do it like as if I'm doing it for the first time? Well, that's the point whereby you start saying like, my village people, they don't want me to pass, or the council of elders, they have sat somewhere in the village discussing your discussing your issues. It is not village elders who have sat down. It is literally you. Because the moment you go with that mentality that you're doing this paper for the second time, there's a very high chance that you're going to overlook a lot of things. There's a very high chance that you're going to overlook a lot of things. You'll be like, maybe you're handling, say, like a question in management accounting, maybe you're handling, say, like a CVP. Looking at CVP, utakuwa unaona formula unasema, hii niko sawa nayo, you go to the next bit. Hii niko sawa nayo, to go to the next bit. Without realizing that probably there's something that you missed earlier on and you didn't get it right. So with that mentality, you're trying to work out a question, will be like, inajua, we go to the next level. Si vibaya kujua, is very good kujua. But what you're doing without knowing is that you are overlooking a lot of things. You are overlooking a lot of things. So the best way will always be what? If at all, my good students, you're doing a paper for the second time, for the third time, or even for the fifth time that you're doing this paper, the mistake that maybe you've been doing without knowing is that assumption that this paper, you did it before, so you're going to overlook a lot of things. So the best way will always be what? It is not late. There are so many things that can be changed within this period of time. At this point, the opening stocks, yeah? You approach this paper as if you're doing it for the first time. Yes. I know it would be hard to set your mind like that, but that will save you a lot. Approach this paper as if you're doing it for the first time. That will save you a lot. Because in this context, you'll be like, you will always tend to take everything with a lot of weight without overseeing anything. You'll always tend to take each and every question that you're handling with a lot of weight. Then the other issue will always be, you see, like literally you're human beings, that's a fact. If at all I've used the same notes, handwritten, or the same book that I've been writing all through, the moment I take that book, I want to start going through that book. You know, immediately when you look at that book, you are so familiar with everything that is there, you can also say the next page contains what? Because you are familiar, you're very familiar with the notes that you're using. By the time probably same elapsed, maybe you realize that number one, probably there are things that you have missed, or maybe there are things that you hadn't recorded. So in that case, it is late. What are you going to do? Unasema vile itakuwa wacha ikue, right? So always make sure that if at all you're doing this paper for the second time or the third time, whichever notes that you are using before, keep them aside. You start afresh. If at all you're putting the notes down, or if at all in this context, you're putting everything down, it will help you a lot not to overlook a lot of things. So that is best strategy and mistakes that a lot of students they have been doing unconsciously. Take that initiative, correct that. Then come January, you're going to buy Mwalimu tea. Yeah, not Uji, you're going to buy Mwalimu tea. So that is very important to note. So these mistakes that Mwalimu was mentioned, if at all you've been a victim, hebu noa mkono. Kama ushaikuwa victim with these mistakes, you're making these mistakes without knowing. Have you, or in this case, are you a victim of that? If at all you're a victim, this is the best time to do it. You still have time to correct. After this, the next point that I want us to talk about is the structure that Mwalimu, of course, had shared. Like we have what? 3 sets. Before we go to these structures, maybe someone will be having a question. Kindly, let me allow you guys to ask. Let me allow you guys to, basically you can unmute, then you can unmute and ask one at a time. One at a time. One at a time. Any question before we proceed to the next bit, which is the next phase, which is very important. Next question, a question probably. Going through our charts here.
Mwalimu, was I the one to read the charts for you?
Yes, kindly, Carol, please.
Okay, someone is asking, I don't know whether this is related. Someone is asking solutions, AMA, Advanced Management Accounting, sir. That is also someone is asking. Then this other one you had addressed, maybe in the previous class, about the app not opening. Maybe you can say something to do with it.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Then there is one who is asking why nowadays advanced tax wanaleta theory mingi sa.
Okay.
So this one is also, another one is a comment that your advanced tax revision, haina revision videos for the block revision questions. Hapo kwa block revision, it is only the Excel videos that are there. Yeah, I don't know whether you want to take those ones first or I continue.
So, yeah, let me pick. Let me take that one. The first questions. I think some of them are addressed, and also looking at main bit, looking at the why advanced tax has a lot of theory. That is the next segment that we'll also be talking about here in terms of how the questions are structured. See how the questions are structured, where we talk about there's a theory part, there is a quantitative part, of course, there's a qualitative part as well. So in terms of those who is asking about the app, I think I'd address that in the class. I think even in the next few minutes should be up and running. There's something that we are doing on the same, updating some stuffs, including the one who was saying like the Excel workbooks. Excel is also a way of teaching, by the way, only that you're uploading more videos on the same, literally on the app. So the main question that, of course, we'll be talking about why tax has a lot of theories. That's something that I want to talk in the next segment, whereby we read about the structures. See, the structure of how Catholic normally tend to say their papers. That one I'm going to check it out I'm going to address it in the next segment. So, Carol, those were the main bits, or is there
Maybe
any
there's
other?
one critical. Molim, there's one critical one that maybe you want to respond to.
Yes, please.
Someone is saying AMA Advanced Management Accounting nilianguka juu si kufanya last mock yako. Someone didn't do the mock. So it's like after that, they found maybe the questions that were set maybe to be like what you had said, and they didn't do the mock.
Okay,
And then the last one that I think you also need to take. Has anything changed in advanced tax? I didn't pass it last year and don't know if I need updated notes or I can still use the ones I have.
Okay, change the tax. Okay. Any other question?
BDA focus areas and winning strategy. Someone is asking that.
Okay.
Then someone, I think this one you also need to take, Mwalim. Is it a must for everyone to sit for Kasneb mock exams BDA on 20th?
Okay. Okay. So let us address about your email mock. In that case, we'll talk about it as we continue. So in this case, of course, talking about things that have changed, I think these are among the elements that I'll be talking about in the next segment. But let me just address it. Like, tax. Remember, tax is always evolving. Tax is always evolving a lot. And when you think about tax evolving, you realize that for students who are using, for any students who are doing the current sitting for tax this year, we are using the last financial year. And in this case, you must be very updated, more so when it comes to the notes that you're also using. Because you realize that right now in tax, there are things that have changed. You guys, I know you should be aware, right? Whenever we hear about the aspect of, say, like, talk about the aspect of pension. Pension set limit, remember previously we were talking about an aspect of around 240,000. Right now we're about 360. These are amendments that were done in December last year, which are affecting us right now. We talk about the aspect of mortgage interest, for example. This case, previously, we were looking at 300,000. Right now, we're looking at 360,000. So for the person who would ask about changes in tax, you must be very kind of a hands-on person in a sense that you try to always, each and every year, each and every sitting that you're doing, make sure that you get to know what changes. For those maybe who normally tend to do their self-studies, make sure that you get to know what has changed. So for tax, I always advise each and every sitting, don't use the previous notes. Each and every sitting, don't use the previous notes because you don't know what has changed. And how will you get to know about this? If at all you normally do research, you can get, or if at all you're attending the class, definitely you know. So the person would ask this, I wish to know probably the notes that you're using, are they the notes prepared this year or are the notes that were prepared 3 years ago, 4 years ago? That is something that we should be able to know. Identify the nodes that you're using. Talk about, of course, BDA focus areas. I'm going to talk about it. The aspect of BDM work. BDM work in this case, what should be tested, or rather what you're going to be guided on the mock is simply how to go about that, the computer-based environment, right? How will you, or rather the aspect of login, what will you be required to do? This mock is to simply make sure that at least you get to know the environment and the structure of how papers are always arranged. So I won't say it is not a must for you to do, but it is very important for you to attend this mock. It is not compulsory because it won't count anywhere, but it is important for you to attend. It will help you a lot. It will help you a lot. It will help you a lot. So that was about, of course, the aspect of mock. Focus area for BDA, I'm going to talk about it. So let us go to the other segment here. The other segment, Mwalimu has guided us that we have three structures: theory, quantitative, and statement papers. This will take me to the question that one had asked about why is it that tax has a lot of maybe theory. You'll find that from 2023, the structure of your exams, that is either theory, quantitative, or even aspect of statement, this is how the structure will be. The first point, we have remembering and understanding. Remembering and understanding, more so for advanced level, it will only be 10%. This is what you have studied from your books directly. I think this one I shared in the classes. This one I shared in the class. But what you need to know, like in this case, you have number one, remembering and understanding. For advanced level, any paper in advanced, remembering and understanding will contain around a maximum of 10%. Come to intermediate level, remembering and understanding will contain up to around 20-25%. Then foundation, remembering and understanding will contain up to around 40%. The second segment, we have, of course, the aspect of analyzing, applying, and analyzing. Applying and analyzing, these are questions that you're being tested in a sense that, do you have the concept right? And if at all you have this concept, can you literally apply it in the question that you're given? See, so like at this point, you need to have, other than you just studying, how much have you grasped the concept right? See, that is applying and analyzing. That is analyzing and applying questions. So for like advanced level, you'll find that this range contains almost like up to around 40% thereabout. See, now the main bit, which is purely application part, has almost 50% for advanced level, all papers in advanced level. And that's why nowadays in a paper, you'll get a student having a paper, you'll be like, or she'll be like, wait, hizi vitu watu wanafunzwa kweli? Ama hii paper wametoa from whichever case that wametoa? No, everything, it is always within your syllabus. Only that the mode of testing this paper nowadays, it has literally changed. It has literally changed. So I think towards the end, of course, I'll give you this structure again so that you have it. So let's go about the strategies on how to handle theory papers. There's always this a very bad kasumba, a very, very bad mentality when it comes to theory. The way Kasneb students normally tend to look at theory. They'll always be like, this is just theory. I can just study by myself, then I go and do this paper, which is okay and is very good. But the mistake, again, that majority, they normally tend to make unconsciously whenever they're doing the theory paper is this. A lot of students are always victim on this in terms of theory. This applies also to the theory in our computation. This applies also to the theory in our computation. So the mistake that you can ever do whenever you're handling theory is answering in paragraph form. You've heard me correct. Answering in paragraph form. Say, you've been asked, say for example, like maybe what is the advantages of say like ICT in business? Number one advantage, of course, like probably it is going to create efficiency in business. That is a point. But what you want to start doing you want to start writing paragraph. Remember, the key element that you're looking at is efficiency. That is an advantage. But what you want to do, now you want to give us paragraph. Yeah, you want to give us paragraph. So what you're doing in this case, you're literally telling the person who is marking your paper, you know what, you check where my point is in that paragraph. Who was that time? Who was that time to look at a point in your paragraph? Yeah, who was that time? Which marker has that time? You find that in this case, that is a wrong approach. When answering the theory part, including the theory in our computation, as I've always stated, answer in pointer forms. When you read about pointer forms, okay, you talk about efficiency, which is very good. The point already has been seen. Below efficiency, you give us all the story that you want to give. Give us all the stories that you want to give below efficiency. The other point probably maybe the aspect of talk about efficiency or any other point that you can give. First of all, make sure that the point is seen very clearly. So that if at all this portion was allocated 8 marks, you see what normally happens? You've answered in paragraph form. These are the maximum amount of marks that you can get probably is maybe talk about, if at all this exam is lenient, is about maybe 3 out of 8. If at all the exam is very lenient. Yet, in your paragraph, you had very powerful points. What messed you up is presentation. So avoid using paragraphs and utilize the aspect of answering in pointer forms. This will help you a lot. This applies also to the theory part and the theory part and the computation. So that's why you'll be like, maybe why is it that company law I've done for so many centuries, I'm not passing yet, I've done for so many centuries. You see, like there's this paper in advanced level, leadership and management. This is a theory paper that a lot of students normally tend to overlook it, in a sense that it's just theory. Leadership, imagine you can do all other papers and you pass except for leadership. Yeah, you do leadership for like almost 5 times to the point that you'll be like, right? No. It is just the approach that you're using. And to talk about that, there is a question that was also asked in our previous open forum. Because you are in theory and Monimu is giving us strategies on theory for leadership, and also applies to partly company law and also aspect of advanced auditing and assurance, where we normally have case studies questions. See, case studies, they'll always have a lot of marks. And what is the mistake that a lot of make sure that you're muted. Kindly make sure you're muted unless Monimu is class. Yeah? But all you are making noise without asking a question, Monimu will move out in class immediately. So we read about aspects of case study questions. You see, the mistake that a lot of students, they normally tend to do on case study is what? Why are we calling it case study? We are calling it case study because in this case, you are given a specific company. You need to answer this question based on this specific company. So you, with the paper that you're having, because you've gone through the case study, maybe they have asked us to give, say, like the nature of a good leader based on X Limited. You're given a case study of, say, like Mdarasa Limited. You're given a case study, say, like of X Limited. You're asked to give the characteristics of person A in X Limited. Characteristics of a good leader. Higher. Number one, in this case, you want to start saying pointer forms is key. A good leader must be innovative. That is a point that has been stated clearly. You're not answering in paragraph. Below that, you want to answer that question without quoting that company. Answering this question without quoting that company, you're doing your own question. You are answering your own question. Yes, you heard me correctly. You are answering your own question. You are answering a question for case study. The solution that you're giving, you've not quoted that company. Trust me, you are answering your own question. So that even if this leadership maybe was out of 40 marks, that question, and you've answered all the questions, regardless how beautiful your handwriting is, regardless how beautiful you've explained the concepts, but you missed quoting that company. You are answering your own question. Out of 40, if at all the examiner is lenient, you can get 5 marks or maybe a maximum of 10 marks out of 40, right? This is just like, okay, this person has really wasted the ink. This person has really wasted the ink. Let me give this person a point. Regardless of how beautiful you've explained the concepts, but missing mentioning the company that you're dealing with at that point, you're literally answering your own questions. So the best way will always be, whenever you're dealing with a case study question, try as much as possible to quote the company that you're given. That will save you a lot. Probably that's the reason why you're doing that leadership for the third time. Yeah, you. Probably that's the reason why you're doing that leadership for the fourth time. Because you messed up on the case study, which has a lot of points, and yet you could have scooped a lot of points from that. So make sure that you correct that. So the best way in regard to the theory, we're talking about what? Make sure that we answer in pointer forms, regardless of how the question has asked you. Discuss, explain, state, regardless of how the question has been phrased, always adopt answering in aspect or pointer forms. It will save you a lot. It will save you a lot. Higher, we go to the second structure here. The second structure, which should be the aspect of quantitative papers. When you're asking about quantitative papers, we are looking at talk about QA, talk about FM, talk about MA, talk about advanced MA, talk about advanced financial management. These are the quantitative papers that we're looking at. So what is the secret with the quantitative papers? Yes, at times they are slippery to the point that a person will pass a paper. Have you ever passed a paper to the point that you're asking yourselves, ni nini ilifanyika hapa, right? Mimi hata sikuandika kitu and yet I passed. Yeah. First of all, you should know that pass mark will never go below 50. That's something that you should be aware of. That pass mark will never go below 50. It is always 50. It is always 50. It will never go below 50. So, what is the best strategy for answering quantitative papers? The best way of answering quantitative papers, my good students, is aspect of presentation. You are asked a question, maybe determine the break-even point for this company. And now you start just answering without giving the structure clearly. In this case, impression is your weapon. You see, the person who will be having this paper of yours, you don't know the stress that this person has. You don't know that morning this person quarreled with who. Haujui kama jamaa hiyo asubuhi alishikwa na kanjo kwa barabara, right? So what you need to do, you need to create a very good impression. And impression will come with presentation. So you are asked of probably break-even point. First of all, come and show the formula of break-even. I know break-even, I should be having fixed cost over contribution margin. And that, if possible, you're not wasting time. If possible, come and have fixed cost, you give it there. Contribution margin, you come and give it there. So that eventually, the last item you're going to do, you're going to work out now what? The break-even point. Already, this person will be having this paper of yours. This person will have that impression that this student knows what he or she is doing. That already is a point on your end. So make sure that for quantitative papers, try as much as possible to put the variables before answering the question. This will create a good impression to the person who's having your paper, and at the same time, it will also help you to save a lot of time ile ya kuangalia juu. Kwanza kujiuliza like, what am I supposed to do, what am I supposed to do? So that is a secret for quantitative papers. Just a sec, a moment here. So literally, that is a strategy that you should be using in terms of these quantitative papers. Yeah. Number one, that is impression. What impression are you creating to this person who is having your paper? Try to list down all the variables, and you're going to see a lot of changes. Higher, we talk about the aspect of the statement papers. The statement papers, what you're looking at for statement papers, we're looking at FA, we read about FR, advanced FR, tax, public finance, and as well as advanced taxation. What is the secret? What is the secret of the statement papers? These are the easiest papers to pass, by the way. Yeah, these are the easiest papers to pass. Regardless of how tricky it will be, these are the easiest papers to pass. What is the secret? Given that we are remaining with 2 weeks, these 2 weeks, what you can do for these statement papers, try as much as possible to maximize on the format of presentation. Try as much as possible to maximize on the format of presentation. When you're talking about the format of presentation, be very good in income statement, be very good, say, in statement of financial position. For those who are doing tax, be very good when it comes to matters to do with what? The approaches of determining the taxable income. Be very good with these formats. Because the fact is, I can give you that assignment. Take a statement paper right now. Talk about FR tax, take that statement paper. Look at the question given, where you are asked to prepare the statements. Trust me, my good students, if a question has 15 marks, how many marks you have for free, which are direct entries? You'll be having almost up to 10 marks. Direct entries, without you having a hassle of doing these workings. You have 10 free marks, 10 direct entries, without a hassle of you doing, of course, these aspects of workings. For the purpose of exams, make sure you have maximized on the structure. Hii maneno ya working, yeah, just to be sincere, wewe wachana nayo if at all you want to save your time. Do the workings as once you are through with all the questions. Do all the statement paper. Maybe you ask, say, like prepare income statement. You know the structure of the income statement. Put all the direct entries. There's some entries that won't require even working. You put all the entries. Go to the next question. You put all the empties. Go to the next question. By the time you are through, you'll find that the working part already you've scored above 50%. So the working part would be just to add on top of the marks that you have. That will save you a lot when it comes to the statement papers. So don't worry that maybe time is limited. No, if at all within this remaining period of time, you maximize on the statement papers. In this case, you'll be in a very, very good position. Higher. Before I proceed to the next level, the next segment which Molim will want to talk about, how to save time in exams. The next bit will be how to save time in exams, the best strategy of how to save time in exams. Before I proceed there, I need those questions. Carol, are there any additional questions?
Yeah, there are quite a number. Someone is saying company loan inafaa kusoma notes zote ama 275 pages nitamaliza lini na zimebaki 2 weeks.
Company loan, okay.
Another one, kindly clarify on ratio of marks, i.e. theory and computation papers, and how to balance for a pass mark.
Okay.
Then someone is asking, can someone please send me soft copy advanced tax notes, please? All right. Is it advisable or easy to do predictions in papers? Then talk about managing time per question in exams. Then someone is saying, okay. Can someone please send me soft copy advanced tax notes? Those ones are the ones currently. All right. Someone is asking, pass mark ya LM. Someone wants to know what is the pass mark of LM. And then someone is asking, BDA marking score secret. I don't know. This is an MCQ secret. It's not clear what they typed. Now the other one is advice on this is audit, advanced audit passing strategies. On the same note, someone is saying advanced audit is quite tricky. How do I approach those questions really?
Okay. So maybe let us address this first of all. In terms of course, company law, as I've said, these are theory part, and company law, I'll be honest with you, company is not like auditing that you can apply, because in law, if at all they are saying these are pen, there's no any other way that you can go around and say this is not a pen. So company law, you need to be very specific on the laws that you're having. So for company law, there are some specific topics that you need to be very good at. In this case, I think I listed them somewhere. I'll try share the same. When it comes to the ratio on marks balance, you'll find that nowadays, as we have mentioned, when I think you're not even stated the structure, remembering and understanding, applying and analyzing in the aspect of major application. So you'll find that in all the papers, more so for computation literally, nowadays there's always a balance of theory and computation part. And this balance, usually in all the papers, other than tax, which can go up to 50%. The other papers, you'll find that the ratio is always like at least a minimum of 25% theory. These are minimum of 25% theory. This is for computation part. A minimum 25% theory, meaning that it can go over 25%. So the ratio of theory to computation, you'll find that minimum is about 25%, so it can go over the 25% mark. In this case, the aspect of prediction, that one first of all I'll pass for now. Talk about the aspect of LM. leadership and management pass mark. As we've said, I think I mentioned this earlier on. Pass mark for Kasneb will never change. It will always be 50%. That one, it will never change. It will always be 50%. That is for pass mark, for, of course, all the papers, not only L&M, all the papers. We talk about BDA. BDA is a very interesting paper, given that it is a practical paper. Remember, BDA has 3 sections. The first section is aspect to do with what? Theory, 20 marks. The second part, it is core areas. Core areas are FM, talk about FR, and we have MA. And the specialization part, we have 2, tax and aspect of what? Auditing. Regardless of what you specialized on, regardless of whatever that you are specialized on, it won't count here. It won't count on the question that you're going to handle in BDA, that is for specialization. So BDA, of course, be perfect on the core areas. Core areas will contain 60%. Be very good in terms of the notes. That is the theory part, which are literally 20%. And you know very well that the question for theory, they have specific structure, which it has been the same from 2022 since they introduced BDA, which I'm not seeing it changing very soon. The structure has just been the same old rule for BDA. So, like, if at all you're having good notes, the theory part on the notes that you're having, trust you me, up to almost 70% will come directly from the notes that you have. Like, for example, the notes that you normally tend to use as Mdarasa. These notes, try to check the questions for theory for BDA. Compare with the theory notes that our students have for BDA. You realize that majority of the concepts, they always tend to come directly from the notes for the theory part. That is 70%. So the best way for BDA, maximize on the theory, be very good on the core areas. For specialization part where we are having auditing and tax, pick the one that you are comfortable with. Either auditing or tax, the one that you've gone through the SEM and you've clearly seen that this is a paper or a question that you can handle. The big mistake, and I've seen it affecting a lot of students, the big mistake that even those who are upcoming by day, because everyone is doing CPA, you must do BDA eventually, unless things change. The biggest mistake that a lot of students normally tend to make, more so for those who are doing BDA, you'll find this person is very good in Excel, which is good. This person is very good in Excel, which is okay. So this person will be like, because I use Excel on my day-to-day activities, mimi BDA atasitaingia class. Ama BDA, I won't go through that thorough because I'm good in Excel. Let me ask you, my friend, how many times do you normally use NPV at your workplace on Excel? How many times do you normally solve regression problems in Excel at your workplace? How many times do you normally tend maybe to prepare the concepts of IRR or to work out break-even points using Excel at your workplace? How many times do you use NPV at your workplace? So it is not just only Excel. BDA is more than just Excel. BDA, in this case, you must be very good on specific areas. And that's why Mwalimu is talking about what? The core areas. So don't assume that because you're good in Excel, BDA is a walk on the park. Hapo unajienjoy. Yeah? Hapo unajidanganya kabisa. So make sure that BDA, you take a serious note on that. We have auditing and advanced auditing. Just like I've said, these are the theory part. Remember, advanced auditing is more of investigation. And actually, for investigation part, it is upon you to a lot of questions there will be application. A lot of questions will be application part. So the best way to always handle all these theories, this cuts across all the theories, how to answer the questions. As I mentioned earlier on, pointer forms will save you a lot. Answering in pointer forms, it will save you a lot. Sana, 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 sana. So just use the pointer forms that Mwalimu was mentioned. This will save us a lot. This will save us a lot. Higher, managing time. That is a question I think one had asked, which was our next segment. This is now the weapon to pass Kasneb. Management of time. Because the only enemy in that room is time. The only enemy in that room is time. So how are you going to manage your time effectively when doing, of course, these papers? As I've always said, and I shared this earlier on in our previous forum, when you go to that paper, as I've always said, personally, I am a believer. I'm a believer. I really do believe in God. Personally, I'm a believer. If you go to that paper, the first thing that you need to do is to do what? Is to pray. Yeah? At times it works magic. Yeah? So that whatever your village elder has mentioned about your name somewhere to be scattered. Yeah? Whatever your village people, in that mirror that they are looking at you, right? That mirror will shatter. So that's just by the way. So first thing is prayers. Prayers is very important. You do your prayers. After you're done with your prayers, go to that paper. Don't rush. Take like 10 minutes. What will you be doing in these 10 minutes? You go to a question, you look at a solution, or rather you look at a question, scrabble there, that paper is yours. Before you start looking at the ceiling to look for the solutions at the ceiling board, first of all, scrabble the notes. This will help you not forget. You get question 1A, scrabble the notes there. You go to a computation part where they require a formula. You put your formula there. You go to the next question, do the same. Just scrabble some points in each and every paper. Scrabble the points, scrabble the points, scrabble the points. Once you're done with scrabbling these points, the next phase that you're supposed to do, out of the all questions that you scrabble the points within that 10 or 15 minutes, select the question that you've seen you have a lot of points based on what you're doing your analysis, because this will save you a lot of time. To have the pressure when you want to start looking at the ceiling board, you had already put your notes there through scrabbling. This will save you a lot. So once you're done with the scrabbling, this will also help you to select the best question. The best question is a question that will be having a lot of points, because the secret we say here is all about what? Impression. If you start with a question that will give you less marks, what are you creating in the mind of the person who is having your paper? Huyu mtu ni kama hajielewi. The first question, which is expected to be your best, and this question you are getting, say like 5 out of 20, already there's an impression that you're creating to this person. The person is having your paper. So that's why they always say to say you start with your best question. You start with your best question. Scrabble, then work it out. Trust me, this will save you a lot of time. So that whenever you're doing your paper, you know, at times, yeah, it's always, anyway, it normally happens to everyone, yeah? Have you ever been in a paper, you're doing a paper, then you're just cool, yeah? The environment is cool, everything is cool. You're doing your paper, then in that case, the good examiner or the good supervisor anasema 1 hour remaining. 1 hour remaining. And you've only done only 3 questions. Hapo, that dotted sweats in your nose. Unaona zile jasho za mapua. Regardless hata kama mvua inanyesha, jasho ya mapua, tule to dotted sweat kwa mapua inaanza kutoka, right? Hata kama mvua inanyesha, unapata mtu ana sweat kwa mapua, right? Wewe kwisha. If at all it is in that level, wewe kwisha. It's only because hii jasho inakonga, I don't know hiyo jasho inakonga nini, but always, hata kama mvua inanyesha unaonanga jasho inatoka kwa mapua. I've never understood why. So, the best way would always be doing a scan of the question by scrabbling. After you're done with the scan of this question, try to go directly on what you scrabbled and the questions that you can do easily. Where you are required to do these workings, where achana nayo. If at all working will take you forever, achana na hiyo working. You have a lot of free marks that you can utilize in the question that you're doing. So that by the time the good examiner is talking about 1 hour remaining, or maybe like 40 minutes remaining, at least you'll have gone through every question and you'll have answered every question. Maybe the remaining part here and there that you need to add more points is what will be remaining, but you'll have answered all questions. Why is it important to answer all questions? As I mentioned earlier on, pass mark will never go below 50%, regardless of how the question is tough. What normally happens in this case is the aspect of reallocation of marks. When a question or a paper has been so hard to so many students, maybe this paper, a lot of students, they have not performed well. And in that case, maybe they want to strike that balance. What they normally tend to do, in this case, we find that we have a question that was very difficult. A question that majority of the students probably they didn't perform well. This question, there will be reallocation of points. So that's why that FR that you will say, FR mimi kusema ukweli siendi kupita, unapata umepita hiyo FR. Or that FM, you are like EFM, to be honest, me I'm preparing to receipt. When the results are announced, you passed. It is not that it's not that the paper was fair. Yeah, it is because you prayed first of all, and also because there's that aspect of reallocation of points. I think I'll explain the aspect of reallocation of points later on in our different segments. But just understand that there's always reallocation, and pass mark will never go below 50%. Mtu asiwahi kudanganya ati pass mark imerudishwa chini to 30%. It will never happen. There's always aspects of what? Reallocation of points. That is what normally happens. So in that case, saving time in exams, do the Scrabble, do the aspects of where you are required to put the formulas. You have the formulas down. Then in that case, you do what? You proceed. Within 3 hours, these are actually enough time for you to do all the questions. As we've said, still lazima balance. Things still lazima balance. You put whatever that you can put, so long as you've attempted all the questions. Imagine that question that you had left out and probably happened to reallocation of marks inafanyika. And you hadn't attempted that question. You see, you're going to lose a lot. That's always advisable. You do all the questions. Very advisable. Higher. Before we go to the last item, Carol, thank you so much, Carol. You really assisted Mwalimu today by asking the questions in the chat. Kindly, are there questions? More questions are being asked before we proceed to the next segment.
Yeah, Mwalimu, there's around 2.
Yes, please.
Some invigilators tell us not to write on the question papers. What do you say about that? And then another one is about Okay, they usually say don't write on the question paper. So someone is asking clarity on that. And then the other question is, who is doing BDA in Mdarasa?
Yeah,
Who is the
including
one
you.
doing? So I don't know whether who is the teacher or who is the one doing it. It's a bit
Okay.
tricky.
I
If you
think he's
want,
asking who's lecturing the year.
yeah, yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
far, those are the ones now.
Okay. So in this case, I'm not sure why you should be told not to write on the question paper. This is new. This is very new because like the question paper you're given for you to use it on how you can, of course, maximize to earn all the points. So maybe just to pose this, like you guys, you have your rights, right? At that given point, with all the pressure that is there, at any given point in time, when you get an invigilator telling you why you should not write on the question paper, go ahead and ask why should I not write on the question paper. And there is a point whereby I need to put my points. Probably, not unless okay, let me just mention it, but I won't go deeper. Not unless not unless the center is on the red tape. See, there's always the centers that are always red flagged. See, not unless the center is a center that has been red flagged. Red flagged. These are of course centers that in the eyes of Catholic they are notorious. Yeah, don't ask Mwalimu which centers are these. Even me, I don't know. Anyway, nevertheless, basically, these centers are red flagged. If a center is red flagged, then probably there are other measures that they can take. Why? Because they are reasoning probably this is how they normally tend to share. This is normally how they normally tend to share the solution. But ideally, it is your on your own point to have to use that question paper the way that fits you well and the way that will help you to pass exams. So this is a challenge. At any given point in time when you get an invigilator asking you why you should not write on that paper, kindly go ahead and ask, why should I not write on my question paper? Go ahead and ask that. As I've said, not unless a center is red flagged, and these are some of the measures that they are taking to prevent, of course, spread of maybe a guy sharing the solutions to the question, or rather in the exam. Not unless that is the case. That is when you can be told probably maybe not to do it, not to write that. So I think that is the same case as invigilators. I think that is what has been addressed. So now, guys, at this point, the other element that I also want to talk about, at this point, this is just, Nurali, this is a question, any other question, Carol, that maybe you've left out that is really urgent and maybe one will want one to address?
Someone is asking, how do we know flagged centers?
Yeah?
Nisiwe victim.
I mean, how do?
Someone is asking,
Uh,
how can they be able to know the flagged centers so that they don't
uh-huh.
they don't become the victims?
No, I'll say, fear mystery. Yeah, I want to answer that. Fear mystery. Yeah, fear mystery. Yeah, you just pray like the center that you're selecting. Definitely is a good center. Yeah, definitely is a good center. Definitely is a
Then
good center.
then someone
So,
is
so,
saying that
mm-hmm,
someone is equally saying that they did a mock, yeah, a
mm-hmm,
May,
mm-hmm.
and you are yet to maybe to mark their papers. So they're asking why you've not been responding. Equally, someone is
Which
saying
question was that, Carol? Which, Amen? They have marked, or rather, they worked in me, or out is the question, kindly?
nimefanya mock ya AMA, send
Uh-huh,
my working but no response.
uh-huh, uh-huh,
Why? So I would need to
uh-huh.
know which one is that. But that is what
Okay.
someone is saying.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay, so for me, not unless like we're having a lot of students who are sharing their answers, probably it must be on a queue, right? It must be on a queue, and definitely if at all you've shared, in our number, then in that case, definitely it will be addressed, not unless it is on a queue. But be sure, if at all you've shared, it is going to be addressed as per what you've done, right? As per what you've done, it's going to be addressed. So that one, be sure that is going to be addressed. Then, yes, Carol?
Have you answered who is crippling BDA in Mdarasa?
BDA in Mdarasa, fortunately, I'm the one taking you guys for BDA in Mdarasa. And right now, we're doing revisions. So for those who are doing exams in the next 2 weeks, Ona Mwalimu Kando. Yeah, Ona Mwalimu Kando after this session, for those who are doing BDA, right? And all other papers, of course. So,
Then this one here, the last one.
Yeah, kindly.
Can one answer questions using tables in question of differences?
Very good. Very good. And I think I mentioned that in the other video, how to answer. Remember, time was limited. Actually, I've not gone deeper into specifics. That is very good, and that is how it should be. You see, when you're asked to give, a difference between X and Y, the best way is always to answer in table format. The best way it is always to answer in table format. Wherever you ask difference between X and Y, the best way will always be to ask in, or rather to answer in table format. I think there's a video that I did specifically how to go about theory only. There's a video that I did specifically on how to go about theory, because remember all these cases, I've done a video on how to go about theory papers only. I've done a video specifically on how to go about quantitative papers separately. I've also done a video on how to go about the statement papers separately. I've done 3 different videos which have gone deeper. Remember, in this segment, I've not gone deeper into the specifics, but if at all you get to have these videos, I've literally handled each and every element separately. I've handled each and every element separately. So I agree with that person who was saying like that. Thumbs up. That is the best way to always handle the questions where you ask of the differences. That is very good. That is very good. So because of time, remember, we can have almost all night discussing the best strategies. So as we are talking about probably the second last item, I know there's this bit of I know you've heard of the same whereby it is anticipated, yeah. This is just anticipation. Even me, I don't know, yeah. It's just anticipation, yeah. That probably Kasneb will come with the aspect of you saw that circular whereby you guys were advised at least to fill in, to give suggestions on what should change when it comes to, of course, this aspect of exams. It is anticipated that Kasneb are going the CBE way in all the papers. That is an anticipation. So with this anticipation, you should always tend to take advantage of the same. Advantage in a sense that like these questions, multiple choice, one will think that it is very easy to answer. But remember, with multiple choice, you don't have a mark for working, you don't have a mark for formula. You only have a mark for the final answer. You only have a mark for the final answer. So that is to say, in this case, you must be very good when it comes to things are moving tech, things are moving digital, including, of course, this aspect of exams. So where you're sitting right now, regardless of the level that you are in, this is just a point of advice. Where you're sitting right now, how good are you in aspect of maybe advanced Excel, for example? How good are you when it comes to this aspect that, remember, by the time you are finishing your CPA, or by the time, in this case, you're done with all these elements, we'll have moved to the next stage. The concepts will just be the same, but how good are you when it comes to the hands-on part? And this is where the aspect of soft skills will come in. Soft skills, this is what is running every professional. you might be very good in this area. But if at all you're given a chance to speak, maybe before audience, will you be able to do that? So what Mwalimu is trying to tell us is that after your exams, of course, we are heading towards a very enjoyable holiday, which are festivities. And I know Christmas will always tend to start from 15 there about going forwards. But I want to pose this question to you guys. What value can you add to yourself during the period of December? Right now, things are changing, and they're changing very fast. Every accountant, yeah, personally, I normally train businesses. Personally, I normally train corporations when it comes to a matter aspect of power business intelligence specifically. This is what I train organizations. You'll find that and you guys mark this video today. We are doing this video today, should be 14th. Mark this video today. In the next like 6 or 1 year to come, you'll start seeing amongst the accounting opportunities that you'll be invited, at least added advantage will be what? Power business intelligence. Added advantage. Mark this video on 14th November. 6 months or 1 year to come, you'll always be asked about power business intelligence. How effective are you on this? So what Mwalimu is trying to say is that after your exams, you can literally take advantage of the short courses that you're having. And the way other systems, they normally tend to have coupon, this will be a coupon. Once you prove that you have attended this session, be sure you're going to get very good discounts, including those who are doing block revisions, by the way. Within 2 weeks, with the block revisions model that are there, we are going to change a lot. So if I told you are that person who has not been prepared enough, I believe the block, I think someone was saying like Mwalimu Eme that you did last time and some other papers, literally things came on exams. We normally tend to say like it's just predictions, yeah. With the aspect of the team of lecturers that you do have, the experience that you have, at least not questions. You can just say fortunately, questions came exactly the same. But what we normally tend to do is number one, our revision mode is always like we handle the basic concepts. We do an analysis on the concepts that we think, not questions. We do an analysis on the concepts that we think might be tested. So this is an area that we normally tend to do our revisions with on this block revisions. So if at all you still or you are in need of these revisions, of course, reach us out and definitely we are going to guide you with the best offer that you can get on this revision. So that one will be an isolated case. You reach us out on our number, which is indicated there, 0708 068 851. And you're going to guide you on the best way to handle these block revisions. So Mwalimu has a lot to share with us. But because of time, I can see there's a point whereby some will always be asked, kwani bado uko klasa hizi? Yeah? Kwani bado uko klasa hizi? So let me allow you guys to go and take your dinner and supper, those who are taking the same. Not unless there's a very burning last question, Mwalimu to address, but otherwise I wish you a very good night. Any specific question, Carol? That probably tumeacha kando mtu asiseme Mwalimu alimlenga?
No, Mwalimu, I believe you've tackled all of them.
Aha, great. Thank you so much, Carol, for assisting Mwalimu, of course, answering the questions in the chat. So you guys, with the remaining period time available, I wish you nothing but the best. Take advantage, it's not yet late. Within 2 weeks, you can make a lot of difference. If at all you've not gotten our block revision classes, you reach us out and we're going to guide you on the best way. To this point, thank you so much for attending this session. I wish you all the best, and I hope to see you guys in Mdarasa come next semester. I hope to see you, all of you. I know majority are also in Mdarasa, but those who are not in, wish to see you guys next semester. To this point, thank you so much. God bless you, and have a very good night. See you guys on the other side. Bye-bye.
Mwalimu,
Yes, please.
Hello.
Someone is saying thank you. Very insightful. Thank you.
Great. So you guys have a very good night.
So quite a number of guys are giving feedback, and they're very grateful.
Great.
Hello.
Carol, thank you so much as well. And really, really